In the southwest corner of China's vast territory, the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau stands proudly on the top of the world with a majestic and magnificent posture. In this mysterious land known as the roof of the world, the Ali region is challenging the limits of human survival with an extraordinary attitude. Here, the average altitude is over 4,500 meters, the mountains are like swords pointing to the sky, and the deep valleys are like bottomless pits, which together weave a magnificent and harsh natural picture. The Ali region is not only known as the third pole of the world, but also known as the forbidden zone of life by the world. But in such a place that is almost unsuitable for human survival, China has invested $3 billion and spent more than 20 years to build a modern city, including infrastructure, housing, commerce and public facilities. It is worth mentioning that this city is only 70 kilometers away from India and it takes less than an hour to drive there. This makes us wonder why China wants to build a city in such a dangerous place. What impact will this have on India? This special border city is Qinghai town, located in the west of Ali Prefecture, Tibet, and is under the jurisdiction of Gar County. It is adjacent to Geji County in the east, Ritu County in the north, Purang County and Zanda County in the south, and Indian-controlled Kashmir in the west. It is only 70 kilometers away from the Indian border and less than 500 kilometers away from New Delhi, the capital of India. The entire town is not large, only 1,042 square kilometers. Before 1964, the place where Qinghai town was located was just a Gobi desert in Gar. But with the completion and opening of the Xinjiang-Tibet Railway in 1964, China decided to invest $3 billion to build a new city in this basin with an altitude of more than 4,300 meters. But did you know? The construction conditions in Qinghai town were very bad at that time. According to the investigation, Qinghai town faced a labor shortage. In order to speed up the construction of local infrastructure, the Chinese government decided to send a construction team of 500 Xinjiang workers to support it. But when the construction workers arrived at the site, they found that there was no tap water supply here. So people could only scoop water from the river and wait for the water to clarify before drinking. According to statistics, workers need to spend about 3 hours a day to process drinking water, which greatly affects their life and work efficiency. In addition to the difficulty of drinking water, there is a more serious problem in the construction of Qinghai town. As far as I know, the problem of wind and sand here has become incredibly serious. A vivid example is that residents spend a night in the new house, and when they wake up in the morning, they often find that the door has been blocked by thick wind and sand. In order to go out, people have to shovel sand while pushing the door. In addition, the speed of wind and sand accumulation is so fast that people are caught off guard. The amount of sand accumulated in front of the door overnight can reach about half a meter. This means that every morning residents need to spend at least half an hour to an hour to clean up the sand before they can go out normally. In order to solve this problem, in 1989, China organized more than 50 experts to conduct in-depth research. After more than 30 inspections and experiments, the experts decided to cultivate green plants indoors first to adapt these plants to local climate and soil conditions. As these green plants gradually adapted, they were transplanted outdoors and began to take root in the land ravaged by wind and sand. In 1994, Qinghai town officially launched an environmental governance project. In the first few years of governance, more than 100,000 cold-resistant and drought-resistant green plants successfully took root and grew in Qinghai town. These green plants not only effectively reduced the impact of wind and sand on residents' lives, but also gradually improved the local microclimate. After more than 20 years of unremitting efforts and continuous construction, Qinghai town finally completed the basic restoration of the ecological environment in 1999, announcing the official completion of the new town. So, what benefits can China bring by spending so much effort to build a city here? For a long time in the past, Tibet has always been coveted by external forces due to its rich resources and the importance of its strategic location. Especially during the British Indian period, the British colonists took advantage of the decline of the Qing dynasty to blur and tamper with the Sino-Indian border without permission, illegally occupied China's southern Tibet and other places, and tried to use these areas as a springboard for further invasion of Xinjiang in Tibet. Although the colonial era ended with the end of World War II, the British colonists withdrew from South Asia and the plan to occupy Xinjiang in Tibet failed. After India gained independence from Britain in 1947, it continued to inherit the strategic thinking of the British Indian period and continued to create disputes on border issues. Although China successfully drove all Indian troops out of the traditional customary line in the Sino-Indian self-defense counterattack in 1962, due to the limitations of border conditions, China's strength at that time was not enough to support long-term garrisoning on the border. Therefore, China finally chose to take the initiative to withdraw to the actual control line. India took the opportunity to once again invade large tracts of China's southern Tibet, Barigas and other territories, and actually controlled these areas through large-scale immigration and infrastructure construction. Since the establishment of Qinghai town, the local transportation network has improved significantly. Not only has the road transportation time to the inland been shortened by more than 30%, but the transportation efficiency of border defense materials has also increased by 40%. This enables the troops to respond to emergencies more quickly. With the supply of materials in place, the frequency of China's military exercises in the southwestern border area has increased significantly. According to statistics, the frequency has increased by 50%. This increase in strategic depth has made China more calm in dealing with border issues and effectively curbed the covetousness of external forces. Not only that, in terms of economy, the construction of Qinghai town has promoted the development of the local economy. With the improvement of infrastructure, more enterprises and businesses began to invest and operate in Qinghai town, driving the growth of the local economy. Data shows that the GDP of Qinghai town has tripled in the past 2 decades, becoming an important engine of economic growth in Tibet. But the construction of this emerging town has made India very worried. What's going on? According to statistics, the traffic volume in Qinghai town has increased by nearly 30% in the past 5 years, resulting in threats to the biodiversity of surrounding nature reserves. India is particularly sensitive to the Himalayan ecosystem because this area is not only an important border area between China and India, but also an important source of water resources for both countries. Considering that the water resources in the Indus River basin are already under pressure due to climate change and human activities, if the economic activities in Qinghai town continue to increase, it may lead to further escalation of cross-border water resource conflicts. In addition, Qinghai town is located in the Ali region of Tibet and is an important hub connecting Xinjiang, Tibet and Kashmir. Indian analysts believe that the construction of military and economic infrastructure in Qinghai town may pose a challenge to India's security. According to a report by the Indian Ministry of Defense, China's infrastructure investment in the region has increased by 50% over the past decade and it has established multiple border posts and monitoring facilities, moves that are seen as a form of strategic pressure on India's border.